Knowledge and awareness. What are these twin concepts and how might they help us with violin ease and comfort? Stick around, we might just find some interesting answers. Welcome to this series where we'll explore knowledge and awareness in violin and viola playing. In the first episode, we'll start with some basics on upper body construction. In the second, move on to left hand usage, then shoulder rest philosophy, and finish up with some general thoughts tying all this together. So why is this discussion necessary? Well, because violin is really difficult, but it's really difficult in complex ways. For instance, we'll often have musculoskeletal groups right next to each other that have completely different functions, but since they're so close, we tend to conflate them, so we end up using the wrong body parts to do a particular motion. In addition, we really just cannot see what we're doing. Humans are visually oriented beings, but we have few visual reference points in violin playing. The right hand is more or less out of our range of sight. The left hand is largely hidden. We can't see the arm moving back muscles at all, and who knows what's going on between the violin and the shoulder. And the motions that we do, while natural, are often quite unusual. We often use the joints and muscles in the opposite ways from how we use them in everyday life. And to top it off, we're placing a heavy weight on top of our bodies, cantilevered out to one side asymmetrically. This can really mess up our balance. So what we'll find is that the violin is actually an extremely natural instrument to play, in that almost none of the motions we do violate any principles of body mechanics. However, because of the difficulties we just mentioned, among others, it can be really hard to locate and solve our problems. This is where a good knowledge of how the body works and the application of this knowledge through awareness of what we're doing are crucial for our success. So let's get started by having a look at upper body construction and usage. Violin and viola are unusual instruments in that the structures that provide stability to hold the instrument are right next to the structures that provide mobility to move the arms. Because of this, we often mix up the two structures and use the holding parts to move the arms and the moving parts to hold the violin. To solve this, it's important for us to first have some knowledge of both the natural weight flow and support systems and the mobility systems, and then to gain awareness of how we're using them. Now the arms begin not at the seam line of the shirt, but skeletally at the base of the throat, at the SC or sternoclavicular joint in the front, and at the bottom of the scapulae, the shoulder blades in the back, and muscularly at the bottom of the pectoralis major in front, and all the way down at the belt line in back. This structure is called medically the shoulder girdle, as it covers or girds the upper body, meaning that the arms are really these big structures that involve a number of bones and lots of muscles to use them. For shoulder mobility, we have upward rotation and downward rotation. Notice how the clavicle and scapula tilt to follow the arm up and tilt back down to follow it on its descent. We also have scapular abduction and adduction. Again, notice how the clavicle and the scapula follow the arm as it moves forward and backward. In addition, we have shoulder elevation and suppression, but we really don't use these much while playing the violin. Now, to locate your arm's pivot point, the sternoclavicular joint, place your thumb on the tip of the opposite clavicle. That's the joint right there where your arm spins on. Now for upward rotation, place your fingers on the clavicle and move your arm upward, feeling the clavicle move with the arm and then also noticing the shoulder blade spinning with the arm in the back. For downward rotation, bring the arm back down, feeling the clavicle coming along with it, and also noticing the shoulder blade spinning back into place. For shoulder abduction and adduction, find your SC joint again and place your fingers on the clavicle. Then move your arm around to the front, feeling the clavicle move with it, and also feeling the shoulder blade come around or abduct around the body. Now for adduction, bring the arm back and feel the collarbone go with the arm, and feel the shoulder blade coming back around, or adduct. Now there's something we want to be aware of here, and that's when you do the motion up or the motion forward, we can easily do shoulder elevation, the shrugging of the shoulder that we want to avoid. So to be aware of avoiding that, place a pencil right in the corner of the neck. Swing the arm up, feeling the pencil staying in the same place. If the pencil is staying still, then the arm is truly spinning. If the shoulder is coming up, we'll see the pencil rise and fall. We want to avoid that again. The same for shoulder abduction and adduction. Place a pencil here and move the arm forward and back. If while you're doing this the pencil is coming up, then you're aware that you're shrugging the shoulder. The head sits at the top of the vertebral column in the middle of the skull at a joint called the atlanto-occipital or AO joint. We call the vertebrae the backbone, but this really is a misnomer. We can feel the tips of the bones, the processes in the back, but those are just the parts that protect the spinal cord. The supportive part lies deep within our bodies, and this area is referred to as the core of balance, the part that holds us up and provides stability. To spin the head, we use mainly the sternocleidomastoid muscles, which attach here and here, and spin the head by turning it in the opposite direction. Now let's locate this balance point on our own bodies and do some exercises to gain awareness of it. Remember, identifying this balance point is important to reduce stress on the neck bones, discs, and shoulder muscles, and also to allow for healthy arm movement. The balance point of the head is located right around the jaw joint and the ears, so if you place your fingers right in front of your ear holes, now you found your head balance point. It's quite high and quite far forward. However, we often map this head-neck joint as being in the back of the neck, which produces what I call the dinosaur swing. Like this. This type of head rotation can cause problems for a player, because when you're doing it, you're using the arm moving muscles to keep the head from in effect rolling off onto the floor. This reduces our arm freedom and ultimately negatively affects our playing and can cause pain and damage. Our first exercise we'll call head spins. Find your balance point of your head, then place one hand on the tip of your chin and the other hand with the fingertips on the back of your head and spin, feeling as much head in the back moving in the opposite direction as the head in the front. Now, reverse hands and go in the opposite direction. The second exercise we'll call head pirouettes. Find your balance point again, come all the way to the top of the head where the little depression is. Make sure not to go back to the whirl of the hair in the back, but straight up. Place one finger straight up and down. Hand on the tip of the chin, and spin like this, feeling this finger staying stationary. Reverse hands, and go the other way. Our third exercise we'll call head nodding. Place your fingers again in the balance point, and bring your head down and up, feeling your fingers staying stationary. If your fingers are moving, then you're doing the dinosaur swing. Now, let's bring the violin up into playing position. Remember the core of balance? We're going to want the contact points between the body and the instrument to be as close to the core of balance as possible so that we're directing the weight of the instrument and the head to the weight support structure in the body. But first, we have to identify a reflex action we need to avoid, and it's called the startle reflex. It happens when something comes toward your face and you bob and duck to avoid it. We do this with the violin also, and it can throw our head out of balance. So first, we need to take the violin with both hands, like this. I know we're not supposed to touch the violin varnish, but it will be okay just this once. Now, look at a spot on the opposite wall and bring the instrument into playing position, keeping the eyes engaged on the opposite wall. Don't look at the violin, or you might engage the startle reflex. Now, to bring the violin into playing position, look straight forward and bring the violin up into its position. Now do a simple spin, either a lot or a little, staying aware of using the head's balance point. Your head is now in a healthy position and the arms can do their motions unimpeded. Pay special attention to keeping your head in its balance point, as opposed to moving it around to hit the chin rest, as this can restrict the arm motions, as well as cause pain and damage to the shoulder structures. In keeping with the idea of using the body's own weight support system, the weight of the head should ideally be introduced into the chin rest as close as possible to the core of the neck. In other words, back at the back left corner of the jaw, and not toward the tip of the chin, so that the weight flow is brought as close as possible to the middle of the body. Next time, we'll examine the left hand, arm, and shoulder to look at their construction, to see what they might bring to a better violin hold. Thanks so much for watching. We'd be thrilled to have you visit us at wavechinrest.com. We have a lot of information-rich material and innovative ideas there, along with a number of Chinrest models, heights, and different woods to match your holding needs. And our Buy One Try Four option allows you to try up to 4 models for a 30-day trial period with the purchase of one Chinrest. In addition, I offer free video chat consultations to help with any questions or issues regarding violin and viola holding. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video, and I look forward to hearing from you and helping you on your path to violin and viola comfort.